Hello and welcome back to Vice Fly's Fly Tying for Beginners series. This time we're covering a Red Holographic Cormorant. Let's jump right into it. Hello everyone and welcome back to the beginner series. Today we're going to be tying a Red Holographic Cormorant with Sunburst goose bite cheeks. It's one of my personal favourite patterns for rainbow trout fishing, for both freshly stocked fish and fish that are well acquainted to the water. It works really well and it's a great pattern all year round. So what you're going to need for this is, same for most patterns, an 8/0 black uni thread, as you can see there. A medium or large red holographic tinsel. You can use whatever really you've got lying around, just depends on more turns. A black marabou of some sort. You can use marabou tips, this sort of section here. A lot of people like their cormorants to be quite slim and use marabou tips like that. I am, for the purpose of this video and for my own preference, I am going to use the main marabou feather. I like a little bit more movement in my cormorants. And the hook is a V175, size 10. You can do this on a size 12. Sunburst goose biots, just like so. And you will need some form of varnish as well. And I'm just going to be using Sally Hansen's regular varnish. So we'll just start off by putting down a base of thread. Start just a couple of mil behind the eye and work your way down the hook. Just tear that piece off. Work your way all the way down. Now we're going to come just past the hook point. A lot of people like to leave it at the hook point. I'm going to come just down past. Then we're going to tie in our red holographic. Now one thing I am going to do with this fly that's not really in the standard pattern is I'm going to tie a layer of UV to go over the top of it. So initially we're tying in our UV petal mylar first, as that's going to be above the red holographic. Just a couple of turns to lock that in, and then we're putting in our red holographic tinsel. So we'll simply line those both up. You want to try and minimise the number of turns that you use of thread, so we're just going to lock that in again and come up. You don't have to be particularly neat, no touching turns. Coming up the body, just make sure it's of equal distance and come all the way up to the top. Then first of all we're going to make sure you've tucked away that UV thread. We're going to come up slowly with our red holographic. Touch and turns. You can leave quite a bit of overlap. That's why I like to use the large holographic. Now if you get any kinks like this, just try and place them down. Be soft on the holographic. And then when you're coming over, just lock that in and try and cut this curve, so that you've got no real overlap. Take that out, get rid of the excess for that. Then bring up the UV. Now this is completely see-through, so you can be quite brazen with it, because it's just really going to give a UV shine layer on top of the red holographic. So just be quite brazen with it. Just touch and turns all the way up. The same again, and lock that in. So now what you would do normally is take off the excess and tie this off so that you've got just basically a body and a head, and you would put a half hitch in. So that's just a half hitch is just simply taking your whip finish tool like so and putting one turn in rather than the 3 or 4 turns. You would cut your thread off and then varnish the body, put in a couple of layers of Sally Hansen's on and do a bunch of bodies, however many you're looking to do, and then you would come back and tie the wing on. But for the purpose of this video we're just going to go ahead and, without varnishing the body, we are going to just tie straight on the wing. So you're going to want to take about 1 centimetre to 1.5 centimetres of marabou, just depends on how much you would like, because you don't really need too much. Just tear that off like so. Then you're going to work working the front area, just give it a wee twist to try and work them together. Come to the back of where you want your head to be. I like my heads on my cormorants really small, not too big at all. 3 turns to lock that in. Take your scissors and cut that as close as possible. If you do have a wee tuft like I have, try and work that away, because I've not been terribly accurate there. So now when you're working forward, it's quite easy. Just flatten the marabou as much as possible, getting rid of that. You can build up a wee head. I quite like to have a wee chunky head that you can then go on the varnish. If you want to leave it even smaller, you can make the head a lot smaller, whatever is your preference. And then we're going to make the wing. So simply, I always like to come past the bend of the hook, so take your marabou round about that far and just simply pinch. That's probably a wee bit too long, so just pinch again in front and just pinch until you've got away however much you want off of the wing. There we go. That's perfect. Now to put in the goose biots, you're going to take the cut stem that's been cut off from the bottom of the fly, and that is how the goose biot would look. Now what I would do is, you just want to cut at an angle away from the goose biot to give it a slight edge, and do that with both goose biots. Now this angle is going to be your, basically where the fly is pointing up, the wing is pointing up. You want to have that wing running alongside the wing. Sorry, the cheek running alongside the wing. So tie that in with a couple of knots, trying to make sure that you've got it running alongside on both sides. Take your time, make sure that you've got the wing, the cheeks exactly where you want on the wing. In the water, this will, bear in mind that when this is in the water, it will actually look a lot easier to actually match up the cheeks under the water, because they will flare out with the wing once it's under the water. So don't worry too much if you're not exactly straight. It is difficult when you're first starting out to get those goose biots running perfectly alongside. Now this is quite a gaudy colour, so I'm not too bothered about the fact that these are big cheeks. You can use the thinner end if you want a nice thin tapered cheek. So there's your thin wing. Now I have wet this wing just from my fingers to try and keep that slick so that I can see the cheeks running alongside that. And then we're simply going to take our whip finish tool and tie that off on top there. Make sure that's secure and come in and snip away the thread. Now that that's perfectly aligned there, you can see how thin the wing is and how the cheeks are sitting on top of that. We're going to just simply varnish that head. Make sure that you cover all of where the whip finish was. And this will ensure that you've got a really stable whip finish so that you're not going to come out, because you will catch a lot of fish on a cormorant, so you want to make sure that they're as secure as possible. They are such a common fly to just really put a full bag together in not much time at all on both small still waters and larger waters. And that's the simple pattern. Now you would varnish the body several times as well before you've done this, so that you could have an even more stable, because it's quite common to actually have the fly fall apart underneath the body. So it's something to definitely say to either use a rib or varnish multiple times underneath, but that is the basic pattern. Hope everyone enjoyed, and please come back again soon. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give us a like and make sure to subscribe if you want to see more content. We'd love to hear from you, so please leave us a comment telling us what you think and what patterns you'd like to see. See you in the next video.